down safely so that they could get the data out of it. And there was no GoPros allowed. The Hummer was leading us out there, and you could tell the guy in the Hummer right through the mirror. He was making eye contact with you the whole way back. But that was a cool job.
That's crazy. You know what? I think I messed up here. I think I didn't push go live again, and everybody's been saying, "Where are you guys at? Where are you guys at?" I don't think we were live. I think we were just now live,
Yeah.
and you guys answer and let me know.
My
You think
girl
when it
said it's not on the TV.
Holy smokes! Let's see what everybody says. Yeah, because I'm looking at my live counter up at the top. It says 54 seconds, 55 seconds.
How about now?
Jesus.
She just said it loaded up.
Ah, guys, we have a whole interview and conversation. Me and Peter we know each other pretty good right now. I forgot to push live when it froze, and I had to restart it. I didn't even. It's big and blue at the bottom of the screen. I'm like, I ignored that the whole time, and we were just talking. God dog it, man. Peter's done some really cool stuff. You guys will
Hey,
never
buddy.
know, but he's done a lot of cool stuff. But because of me, you guys get to hear all of it. Son of a bitch. God dang it, man. Hopefully, I still have some good questions here.
Yeah, we'll start over.
Yeah, we have to do something. Um, let's see here. What's like your biggest pet peeve on a job site? Thing that drives you nuts when people do it.
The typical answer would be like the dude on the phone, but it's that in general. It's when somebody is just not with you. They're somewhere else all day, and meanwhile you've got a big task at hand. It's like it drives me mad. That's why I love that guy Mora so much, because he's right there with you and he's on it and he's helping get the job done.
Yeah, see, and by the way, Mora is one of his favorite coworkers that you guys would have never heard, but yeah, damn, I forgot what I was. Oh, I was gonna say my biggest pet peeve would be hard hats, but I think you're right. I think my biggest pet peeve, and they don't even have to physically have a cell phone to not be there.
Exactly.
Their brain could just be off onto something else. Because I had a guy that nonstop. I'm trying to read comments because I kept wondering. You guys kept commenting, and I commented background pounder a couple times, and I'm like, well, damn, he's rude. He keeps saying he's gonna leave, and like not answering me. And no, it was all my fault, guys. It's a clown show here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. God dang it. Um, what about? Okay. What was like? You had a job that like after you finished it, it was just like the biggest relief. You had one of those that you can think of?
Um, Not right off the bat. And the immediate memory of hitting that limb over the power line over with, and the rest of the job being like I could breathe. Uh, that was a big relief having that over with. But there's been plenty of jobs like that where, like, dang, we made it through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my most embarrassing one, and I've had my mistakes, but I was more embarrassed on this one. That the guy I worked for who owed me the money. First time he ever asked me to come help him with something, I show up and I take care of like three trees that are over the house. We got a few branches, and I'm gonna fall this other tree, but I had been dropped off by my dad. Me and my brother were actually there, and I'm like, well, I want to run down and grab a soda real quick, and I'll come back and I'll fall this tree. And because he's my uncle, and I'd always stayed with him, I guess he looked at me as a little nephew. He just like went into uncle mode and was like, No, you'll go get something to drink after the tree's on the ground. And I'm like, what the hell? Are you serious right now? That guy's like, you're out of your damn mind. Like, the rope's set up, everything's set up. I'm going to go grab something to drink real quick. There's a mess here. You don't even have anybody to haul anything off yet. And he was just on his little power kick, and I told him, I was like, there ain't nothing you can do about it. Like, I'm gonna go get something to drink. And at the time, he was asking me to work for him. He wanted me to work for him. And this was the first thing that happened. He had something going on with his wife or girlfriend, and he was mad. So he'd take it out on me, and I'm like, no, not going to happen. So as I go up to go get in a vehicle, I'm going to have one of the workers drive me down. He tells them that no, um, don't take me. That he'll call his truck in stolen if they take me to go get something to drink. He's crazy like that. So he decides, I told him, I was like, well, you know what? The job stops then. If I don't get something to drink, I came straight here, I didn't grab nothing, I got dropped off just to help you. I need something to drink. It's just like a half a mile down the road. He's just being crazy. He could have said, I'll go get you something to drink. And I'd been like, cool, I'll go cut the tree down. Go get me something to drink. But he's just being a jerk. And I was like, the job stops until I get something to drink now. And so Hotshot, he's a overweight salesman, is what he is. And he goes over, grabs the chainsaw, floods it, goes to his truck, grabs the second chainsaw, finally gets it to start, goes over, starts his back cut on the tree, tells the worker to start pulling on it, and he drops it clean on the house. I had the notch in the tree, the rope was in the tree, everything was set up. And I seen right as he started, and I'm waving my hands telling him to stop, and he just looks at me like, eat shit, basically. And just keeps cutting. And the tree goes, and goes sideways. Goes on the
Damn.
house. They had it hooked to a 3/4 ton, and it booked it. And luckily, it scraped it down the house. Didn't have time to put all the weight on the house, and just like messed up some siding, some of the metal roofing, and ripped the front gutter off. But because the girl who was driving, she in full wheel drive was burning all tires and just drug it off the house really quick. So that was the most embarrassed I've ever been. So yeah, that was the
The
most
660
embarrassed I've ever
build.
been because
Okay, the
everything
most
made me
embarrassing.
embarrassed.
I don't know. There, I had those two incidents. I had the electrical wire, and I had the shed. And just recently, there was a crane pick where it was on the shed, and it had three tops to it and the trunk. And we're like, well, let's tie up all three and take the trunk and everything together. And one of the picks was tied like this, and it tore. I got the trunk going in the air, and it's too heavy. It's like he's good for 5, and it's like 6 point something. So we're working it up and to the right to the shed. It's like 2 feet to go, and then he can start booming up, and he'll be good. So I'm pushing it along the shed. I'm like, not another shed, and it starts going up. And then that branch fails, and I'm right underneath it. And I look up, and there's this branch flipping, and I start boogieing the other way. I trip, I hit my knee on the stump, and I keep going, and I jump over my 500i and under the next tree and look up, and it's all still hanging. It's all tied up. Scared the crap out of me. My heart didn't stop racing for 5 minutes. He comes back there to see if I'm all right. He's talking to me, crunches his water bottle. I'm like, oh God. No crunching of any water bottles for the next few months.
Man, I I had I think my biggest video that I ever put out was my speed kills video. It's the only one that like hit over 1 million views, and I I had a really gnarly day one day where I ripped a top out speed lining and it broke right above my tie-in that was anchored off. So when the piece came off, it was way too heavy. It snapped the top out of the tree and it took off down the speed line with it, and because it was a redirect onto it, and I look down, and my tie-in is luckily still there, and it's like shattered and broken and splintered all right above it, about that far, and that was the one where I was like, "Ooh, I got lucky." So I thought, well, I'll go ahead and I'll name this video "Speed Kills 2," and I'm gonna do another million vid. It didn't get no views. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I can't figure out YouTube what gets views and what doesn't, because if that didn't get views, I don't know what would. That's all people want to see is you mess up. You tell them you mess up, they're all about watching it. But yeah, that would. Let's see.
I'm echoing
I'm
and you're quiet.
echoing and you're quiet. Oh, really? Are we
That's
good
what
now?
GP
That's what
says.
GP says. Oh, shit. Huh. Let me see. Is that better for me? Does that sound even better for you guys? Okay, well, I'll just speak up a little bit. I don't know. I'm trying. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what I put for my luckiest moment. Oh, that's where I got lucky. I was saying that would be the one where I was speed lining and I had it fail. So that would that would have to be my luckiest one. What about who introduced you to tree work?
Say what?
Say what? Who introduced you to tree work? First person that you seen do tree work that made you want to do it.
Well, the first
Well, the
guy
first
I
guy
worked
I
with,
worked with,
like I said, it
like I
started
said,
with
it
the
started with the
story of
story of
climbing
climbing
and then joining a
and then
company
joining a company
and getting started in the
and
right
started in the
direction
right
with that
direction
guy
with that
Andrew.
guy Andrew.
Now he had
Now he
lifelines, he had
he had lifelines, he
the
had
triple attachment pulley, the friction
pulley, the friction
hitches. He
hitches.
took us
He took
to
us to
state seminar at
seminar at
Vermeer,
Vermeer,
and I saw
and I
him
saw him
go up
go
every
up
once in a
every
while
once in
and
a while
climb.
and
He was
climb.
all
He
about
was
no
all about
stepping
no
on the
stepping on
lifeline,
the
keeping
lifeline,
them
keeping
dry,
them dry,
keeping the
keeping the
gas and the oil
gas and the
separate
oil
from where your
separate from
lifeline
where
and
your
your gear
lifeline and
is.
your gear is.
He really got me turned
Really
on
got
to
me
it.
turned on to it. Really? Yeah, because I guess my dad would be the one that I seen do it that made me be like, that's cool. I want to do that. But I tried to do everything but tree work. I tried to do all the other jobs and was like, tree work is not. That's that's what my dad did. I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. And then like, it didn't take me a whole long amount of time to realize that I'm not good at it a lot. Tree work's probably it. So I just kind of got into it then. But I think I was hooked when I found out when I seen Jaden Anderson. I had never been on Facebook, and my wife enticed me to go on Facebook by finding the Tree Life group on Facebook. And she's like, "This is on Facebook," and I'm like, "Well, that's cool. There's other tree guys, huh?" So then I was hooked, man. It was like, Gordy and those guys, Gordon and them over there. That little group is what got me hooked. And then I found YouTube and all these guys doing it on YouTube, and then I'm just like, wow, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, as a kid, I was
Yeah,
like
as a
always
kid, I
thinking,
was
what
like always
magical
thinking, what
stuff are they
magical
doing
stuff
to
are they
get these
doing
giant
to get these
tree
giant
logs
tree logs
on the ground
on
from
the
over these
ground from over these
structures?
structures? Yeah.
I never
I
got to
never
walk up
got
and
to
see a
walk up and
job
see a
site.
job site. Yeah, it's wild because as much as I was on a billion job sites and seen it done a billion times, I was the same way. I didn't really acknowledge what my dad was doing. Every once in a while, there was a crazy crash boom, and I'd look. Other than that, I was in my own. I was a kid, so I was too busy stretching out ropes trying to trip the workers as to have booby traps. And it's like I was that kid that you don't want on the job site. That was me. So yeah, I kind of looked at it like it was normal, all the crazy madness. So that didn't take no getting used to. But like I think all the new gear and the new ways of doing things is what hooked me because I felt like it was too weird that I almost like learned tree work as a kid. I knew how to do it. I knew how to tie all my knots, run all the chainsaws, climb, use all the gear, and then I found out like, oh, you guys use gear, like, and you got fancy saddles and like cool spikes and wear helmets and it was a total different world after that. I'm like, this is cool.
GP asked, I was born in Indiana, but I've been in Florida since I was about 2.
So you're born in the middle of America too. So you moved? Did you say you moved there when you were 2?
To Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've lived your whole life in Florida. Okay. Right on. That seems like a wild place to do tree work, man. It seems like a wild place to do tree work. Like it, depending on where you're at in Florida, man, it seems like it's night and day different when it comes to the trees and stuff too. Because I follow a few guys that work in Florida.
Yeah, I guess I've got all the coastal is a lot of city and home and businesses, and then Sarasota, Bradenton, and Tampa. I've got areas where I go inland and work, and the trees get a little bit taller out there.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Like I've always wondered. Do you do a lot of palms?
I hate them. Yes,
Do you? Okay.
they
That
dirty up
that's
the saws. It's like it's all over you. Bunch of dirt in your face, and you're yeah, a lot of palm trees, and then some of them are real deadly spiky. You got 6-inch spikes in some of them. Some of them got like the 8 to 10 inch spikes, and the customers want the seed pods out of it, and it's this big spiky mess. I used the 4-foot notch pole, like half the slingshot, with the saw head on it, with the one that comes with the hook. But I cut that hook off so it's slick, and you can just go in there and get some
yeah. That
seed
hook
pods
probably.
out without putting your hands in it.
I bet that hook caught everything, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a guy, Andrew, the first guy I ever worked for. He had a 4-foot wooden stick with just a saw head on the end of it that was older and predated anything. It didn't have the rope hook on it. So I just said, hey, I'm going to take one of these and cut the hook off of it.
Yeah, you could make a pretty easy one with wood. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, and just even just buy a blade. You don't need the handle or nothing. But that's what I had my original one that I used, and I seen how efficient just a handsaw on the end of a pole could be. Was a Corona, and it was an extendable pole. But when I used that, it was a world's difference than when I would use those pole pruners that's got a hook. Those things are just aggravating a lot of times. Like when you're trying to use the saw on it. So when I finally used one that was just the saw on a pole, I'm like, okay, this thing's awesome. Like it's way more efficient without that damn hook and that rope in your face, and like I can use this in spots. But okay, let's see. What's your what did I put here? What's your favorite thing about tree work?
Um, I don't know, the excitement, the thrill, the danger. I guess the first thing that got me going was safety, going up and keeping people's homes safe, getting into learning. Like, you're always putting up videos and talking about things on your live feed and putting things together and learning all that stuff, putting it into play and small scale stuff, and then getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Uh, it's been a joy. Like, I love a lot of stuff about the job.
So problem solving. You enjoy that?
Problem solving, yeah, figuring out how you're gonna get this piece
Me too, man.
to an area without touching it. Sometimes it's a pool screen, and this piece is gonna somehow have to just float there and then go over and down,
Yeah.
and you might not have a good rigging point.
Yeah. That's. I think that's. I mean, the change of scenery daily, and from job to job is cool because it doesn't get stale and always the same spot over and over and over, like walking into an office. That part's cool, but like, I think the part that I enjoy is that problem solving, where you just where you blow someone's mind and where they feel the need that they got to tell you how good you are when you leave. Like, you don't always tell somebody that they're great at their job just because they did their job right. But sometimes that problem solving's so amazing to the person that watched it, they feel the need to let you know, like, hey, like, you're good. You're real good. And I'm like, yeah, thank you, appreciate it. But yeah, I think the problem got to
A lot of the customers say that it looks like we're doing artwork the way we make these things come down.
Yep. Let's see what the comments. We got Nokerborn here. If you're going to get into a spiral again, okay, 92-foot reach. Dang. Okay. What's up, John? I'm sorry. Don't worry about it, John. I made everybody miss over half of it and ruined it anyway, so you didn't miss a whole lot. Um, let's see. What's your what's your biggest fear when you go to work?
Being electrocuted.
That's it, huh?
That last job was, I show up on the job site not knowing about the electricity. I look up and see it's got 8 feet of clearance over the power line, but it goes down and it's about even with the power line, past the power line. And it's like 7,200 volts of electricity. That messed up my whole morning. And then we didn't have the right size crane to get the right size crane there. I was like, oh, we're going home? Oh, no, we're getting another crane. So we get started, and it took me probably a good hour and a half before I was starting to feel right. And then I was like, once I started feeling right, I was like, let's get that branch out of the way. I want it to be over with.
Get it out of my head. Yeah, I get it. That's funny though. I I can totally get that one, but I think I don't know. I almost feel like I may have an ability to shut off my concern for my own safety sometimes that I probably shouldn't. Like, I've tried to. I've been there's so many times where I said I shouldn't do this, and then I did it, and it worked. That, like, I would love to forget about those things, but I can't. And like, it's stored in my head, so I feel like I just overlook danger for myself a lot and just go into it. I'm so scared of hurting somebody because there's nothing I can do to change that. Like, I can't. if I hurt somebody the right, I mean, you could injure somebody or worst case death. Like I'm so
That's
scared of
it.
that. I'm scared of somebody cutting themselves with a chainsaw or being hit by a branch or throwing their back out. Like all that stuff scares me to death.
Huh. Education.
Education.
All the videos I
All the
watch, I had
videos I
learned
watch, I
that
had learned that
you can't negative rig on one of
you
these.
can't negative rig on one of these.
And it was a few days later. I'm
It was
like,
a few
well,
days later. I'm like, well,
I see a guy standing by the porter app.
I
He's
see a
just,
guy standing by
right
the
next
porter
to the
app, right
porter app.
next
I'm
to
like,
the
dude,
porter
you
app. I'm like,
gotta,
dude,
you gotta
you
stand like
gotta
10,
stand
15
10,
feet back. Like
15
we're
feet
bringing
back.
some
Like
big
we're
stuff
bringing
down.
some
You're
big
right
stuff
in the
down.
drop
You're right
zone,
in the drop
and
zone,
your hands
and
can get
your
sucked into
hands
the
can get
porter
sucked
app.
into the porter
Both
app.
things this
Both
way.
things this way.
So later on the
So
job, I was
later
using one of
on
their
the
rings,
job, I was
and I
using
logged
I logged
pretty good
pretty
trunk
good
size piece
trunk size
down,
piece down,
5/8 inch rope, one of
5
these
eighths
rings,
inch rope, one of these rings,
and it tore the jacket right off the
and it
rope, and the
tore
log
the
came
jacket,
running
and the
down
log
and
came
stopped right
running
about where the porter wrap
down
was.
and stopped right about where the porter wrap was.
Had a guy been standing right there at the porter wrap, that would have been
Porter
it.
wrap,
But me hollering at the
it, but
guys
me
to
hollering
stand
at the
back with it
guys,
kept everybody
with
safe on that one.
everybody safe on that
And
one.
I got to see in real life that
In
the
life,
heat is
that
too
the
much on a
heat
negative
is too
rig,
much on a
and it'll
negative
tear the
rig,
jacket right
and
off
it'll
the
tear the
rope.
jacket right off the rope. Yeah, if that's the thing, I think the problem is, I think if a rope, you can on big chain, very, and not even a B string like that. They rig like the large rings, doing negative rigging on them, and I warn people that like you may not see the little defect in that ring, that little nick that's in it. But when that little nick meets that ring, when you negative rig and add shock load to it, and that sharp bend radius, it's not a real smooth one. It'll it's a deadfall after that. And I've seen it. I've done it myself. So like I know that how important a proper bend radius is because with a good bend radius, it doesn't create as much smush in the rope. Because a rope instantly when it goes over something, it goes flat. So when it goes flat, if it's got a defect or something in it, when it goes flat, that's when it rips the whole sleeve off. So the like a redirect. If you have to rig off that, maybe like if you can redirect right behind it a little bit, share that. But dude, that's a big deal. I think
And
people
there's
don't. I think it gets overlooked. Never had any issues with this one though. Really, I think that stretches rope much more, and you can be more dialed in with a block. I think a guy can be extremely dialed in with it. But the only issue with me is that it's actually shock loading the ropes way more. It's like giving it a mechanical advantage when it drops. So it is, in my opinion, a little harder on the rope, but I don't see the issues. I think shock loading a rope may not be as dangerous as using an improper bend. And it may be because it's a moving device too. The pulley actually keeps moving, so it's not causing friction. It's not a stationary device like the ring is. It's passing through the ring. With the pulley, it's going with the sheave of it, I guess,
yeah.
the whole time. So yeah, you're not getting that friction, and you're also not getting that like pressure almost on the rope, the friction on the rope. So I don't know. I think the reason I went with rings and they've always just became my thing was blocks are so expensive, man. They're just too expensive.
It was 160, I think.
Oh, really? Well, that's not as bad as I thought. Like the ones I look at are like 300. It's like crazy. So I don't know.
Yeah, I had the little half-inch green one for $100, and I owned it for more than a couple of years and put it through hell. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get the bigger one.
Hell yeah. I've seen some guys rig some insane shit off that little Hulk. That thing's mean. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna jump back up to a few of those questions that I asked, and we'll just pretend like we didn't answer them up at the top, and before we end up cutting it off. But let's say the worst house or like person you've had to work at their place. Um, and I think I'll do mine. Was I had the one that I enjoyed, which was the ones who've seen me grow up. Those would be my favorite customers that I've ever had because they just treat me like gold and have never looked down at me and always been good to me. It's just like they're good people. But my worst person I've ever worked for would be a cop, and he just decided not to pay me and told me to get beat and that I won't do nothing about it. And he was right. I thought I had a warrant at the time, so I wanted nothing to do with him. So he just stiffed me on the money and told me where to stick it, and I said, okay, well, he said do something. What
Yeah,
about you?
I don't know. And my worst job sites, like I was saying, was like the Amazon property with 300 trees that they do not want growing up, and you go around popping them and chopping them and shaping them so they don't have to worry about any branches falling on the cars. And it's kind of like how today was. It was just clearance, road clearance, keep it away from the building, and the properties just go on. So it's
There's only so many times, like at first few cuts, where you put a notch in and you send it top, you're like, cool. There's only so many of them you can do before you start to be like,
none of them were that exciting. It was just little.
oh shit.
Finally, at the end of the day,
Those are the
there was
worst.
like a big limb that a truck just kept hitting. And I heard a story that a truck got wedged under it and had to call a tow truck to get it out. They were like, this branch has to go. So
Oh,
I got to actually cut down a whole branch. Kind of finished my day off right.
you know what? I should have put two and two together because you did say you had a hedge trimmer and all kinds of shit when you were doing it. So there was, yeah, you were probably dealing with the smaller stuff. Is it stuff that you had, or someone had trimmed before?
Yeah, just continuously hacked. So it also has all the little sprouts.
Yeah, those are the worst. That's funny. Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that most of these big corporations and stuff like that, they have like this standard that they want you to be able to see their building from the highway, so they cut their trees very small and they'll butcher their trees so that you get a view of the building or lift them entirely.
Or you end up with the umbrella tree where it's all empty all the way until that point.
Yeah,
Lost Mike.
Are you
Yeah.
back? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I don't know what happened. I went totally out on my end, but when people lift them canopies, like if you lift a canopy too high, what you're doing is telling that tree to grow taller, and the tree won't like. That's what happens. I see these ones in the yards, and they'll lift the canopy real high and then top them. And then what happens is they continue to lift the canopy to see the house. They lift them too high, especially pines and stuff like that. They're softwoods. It tells the tops because I think trees for the most part just have a like database almost where it's like I'm supposed to go have this much canopy and this much trunk, and whatever you do to it, it's still gonna grow that much of it, whatever it had planned on. So like I see tops fail all the time because they'll have people in and they have a two-stories. It's like, oh my gosh, no, that's not the best idea, but it's your tree. You do what you want.
I hear the kids inside the house being goofballs.
So we're
Oh yeah,
just sitting
GP.
here.
I was an aggressive rollerblader and a hockey player.
Tell you what, let me make sure that this is still. I keep cutting out too. You good still?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right on. I want to make sure before I got. Um, dang, I'm trying to think of ones that we had. Damn it, the conversation was so good. I can't believe I didn't push live. I'm so embarrassed about that right now because it was going so good. Damn it.
Yeah, we had a good introduction and everything.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. This is so crazy. Let's see.
I was the goaltender.
All right.
That was part of the story. Was how I've been climbing 4 years. At 2 years, people were like, "No, no, you're full of shit." They would think maybe 10 years or something like that. But I did grow up as an aggressive rollerblader, always doing something crazy. I had made it down a 33 stair handrail at some point in my life. I was a
Oh my god.
goaltender. I, I played roller hockey. I made it to the Las Vegas Nationals with a team from the neighborhood. And then I started playing for the
Jesus.
Junior Lightning. And then there was a big period of my life where I was drinking and messing up and everything. And when I got sober, I ended up getting into tree work. But yeah, those things I did when I was younger, big
How long
part
have you
of
been doing?
how I can do what I do today, I guess.
Yeah, it's wild what like I hear some of the backstories. Usually the extreme sports stuff seems to serve pretty good into tree climbing a lot of times. If you do some sort of stuff like that, I think you those people get to enjoy an adrenaline rush, and then they realize that they can have that with tree work, and it's like, ooh, I like that. Like that made work fun. So, I think one of the questions thing that happened, and yours was yours the no, because you didn't have an accident on the power line. What was what would you say your worst accident was?
Like a bodily injury type thing.
No, I would say that would be more injury. Like you said you haven't had any injuries, right?
No, I had the head injury.
Oh shit! Yeah, you had a Jesus Christ. Okay, let's go into that. Your worst injury, because I don't know if that was in
No, it
order.
wasn't. So I had explained it like there is a line of trees. You got some palm trees and you got some pine trees, some oak trees mixed in, but it's all like down a property line where there's two homes. So we've got this guy in a lift, and the lift is making noise, and you've got the chipper running over there, and that's making a lot of noise, and there's no communication. I have mine, but never anybody I was working with, like, took it there. I'm setting up the porter app because there's a limb that needs to come down in a fashion where they don't want to ruin the landscape. So I'm setting it up, and then he hollered that he wanted to drop one to stand back. So I went and I stood back, and he dropped that limb. He didn't say nothing about dropping two limbs, but I go back up to finish setting up the porter app, and he hollered he was going to drop another one. I don't hear him. He didn't. If he did holler, he didn't holler nearly as loud as he did the first time because I heard him the first time. And he dropped the second limb, and it was 5 inches in diameter from about 25 feet up, and it hit me in the head. I remember getting to my knee and taking off my helmet and seeing that I had a little blood off the forehead, and everybody checked me out and said I was all right. Are we still there? I lost Mike. I don't know if I'm still on. Technical difficulties. Am I still on, GP? Oh, okay. So, I see that there's blood, and all I remember was getting to my knee, but they told me that it hit me, and I hit off the lift and fell to the ground, and then I got to my knee. So after it hit me, it it took me for a loop. It knocked me pretty good. It had a couple of bruises in my chest. It cracked the impact rated visor of the cask helmet. I made a video just about that injury, just talking about it and how good the helmet worked, because without that impact rated visor, I'm sure my face would have been just ripped. And I had some residual effects of that for a while. I had where my arm would go numb, and it felt like my funny bone was getting hit on drives. And I took some muscle relaxers and some nerve medication for about a year until that all subsided and I felt good again. It's the Peter Shea show. Yeah, so after that I had implemented comsets. Just I think I put one together for his helmet out of some pieces that I had. The boss wanted to help pay for it, but I pretty much had everything. Uh, and it wasn't but a few weeks before guys were listening to music and not really into it. I ended up leaving that scene pretty quickly and getting back to what I was doing as a contract climber with all the people that I know. I just wanted to try the company thing for a little bit. It didn't really work out there. That was not my home. Think we got Mike back. They want to hear about the 660 build. Mike's camera is kind of fritzing out. He's stuck. Ah, or this. Yeah. Oh no, the dogs heard me. The dogs heard me. Yeah, we should get Mike back on. It's just he's kind of frozen on my end. I think I can hear you now. I did get the 2.0. I still love the 1.0. And the 2.0 is all brand new and shiny, and I'm slowly adding to it. And I'll eventually start wearing it, or my girl will, because I still love the one that I have. I got one of these fancy steel core lanyards that's like really flexible. Damn. Yeah, I don't have Mike on anymore. Guest left. Dang, I think he'll be back. So I got the 660 cylinder. It's a highway cylinder. And I've got the 661 M-tronic body over there, and I'll be putting it together soon. I'm not sure if I want to mess with it at all. I've worked on porting with my older saws, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do to this brand new cylinder, or if I'm not going to do anything to it. It does have a pop-up piston for good compression, so it might just be amazing the way it is right now by the looks of it. The way the port and the piston are designed, like, I could definitely see doing some work to the piston and maybe raising the roof of the port like ever so slightly, but other than that, like, this thing looks great. Oh yeah, and then there's always the transfers. I'm not sure if I'm going to go into it or not. Could probably do like a little bit of transfer work just to open that up a little bit, but I like the way that this is built. And I've also got one for the 261. And I think I've got a couple of bodies for the 261, so it'll be nice to have two of them. I didn't for a long time either, GP. I was just working on, mufflers and timing advances and little things, without going into the engine to get more power out of a saw, the sprockets, the bars, and the chains. And eventually I got changing an ignition coil on the 2511. And once I got that off, it was just a few more screws and the engine was sliding out. So I don't know. Yeah, I got in there and took apart an engine and started to get into it. Once I started doing that, it was fun. Is Mike on at all? Is he on anybody else's end? This is going to be